What's going on, good people? Welcome back to another episode of Trading My Funded Account. Today is day number 12. It's October the 26th, 2023. We made some trades today, so let's get into it. So let's jump right into it. Let's talk about trade number one that we made today. So right here, I shorted as prices came back to retest the breakout area, but I closed the trade slightly too early here. Now, the reason I took this trade was because when we started the market off, we were kind of trading in this range for a little bit. But then as soon as we came back up and hit the top of resistance right here at this red line at 33,178, we sold off pretty hard, came all the way back down to 33,050, but we pretty much formed another consolidation range, just played around in there, had a false breakout to the upside, got back into the zone fairly quickly, created a lower high, and then moved all the way back down to create new lows and actually break the zone. So once we broke the zone, I said, okay, I see which way prices are going. We broke out of a consolidation zone. More than likely, we should be coming back to retest that. So I put my short entry right here. And the only thing was, the reason I say I got out too early was because prices came back down. I believe I got in at like 59. My take profit was at 38. So I think the low for this candle, let's go back to the chart real quick. Hold on. I want to say the low for that candle was 38. We'll see. And then as it started to move against me, so the low for this candle was 39. I had my take profit at 38. So it came one tick away and then it started moving back towards my entry price. So I got a little bit scared right there. And I was like, man, look, if it came 1 point away from my entry price and I don't lock in that profit, I'm going to feel like a big idiot because it's 1 point away. You don't have to be a stickler for 1 point. It's 1 point. Take the profit. So I'm like, okay, let me just lock something in while I still can. But it actually, I say I closed it out early because it actually never came back up to hit my original entry price. You know, the high for this candle was 56. I got in at 59. So all in all, it would have worked out. But I feel like in that situation, I made the right decision by taking that profit. Well, when I had it, because you never know in the market. You know, sometimes it'll come right back to your entry price and stop you out for break even. And then you just sit there and say, wow, really, Ty? So I think I did the right thing right there. So that was trade number one. And the reason that I titled this video, patience is key, and that today was the most patience I ever had, was because it was a lot of things that went on today. First of all, I had a lot of price movement in front of me, but my setups really never formed. And when they did, my entry prices just weren't at the right prices. So I couldn't catch those moves. That was one of the things that occurred. And also around 11 o'clock, 11:20, somewhere around that time, Tradeovate went down. So I'm looking for a trade to form. I'm about to get into it. And then the screen just goes black. They kick me out, send me back to the logout screen. I try and log in. Tradeovate is down for like 30 minutes. So even with all that being present, I'm not seeing my setups. The platform isn't working. I still kept a level head because in scenarios like this in the past, I got frustrated. I got mad. I'm like, man, the market is just against me. But today I was cool, calm, and collected. I was like, look, the platform is either going to come back up or it's not. If it does come back up, I'm going to look for my trades and take the best possible entries. I'm not going to try and revenge trade and make back what I feel like I should have made when the platform was down. I'm just going to continue what I've been doing. And that was pretty much the mindset I had going into part two for today's session. So the platform got back working somewhere around 12 o'clock. So I came back in right here and I'm like, okay, we're in a downtrend. So that was the overall price direction. So I started bringing out my downtrend type of methodologies. So I'm looking for any type of break below major levels of support that should act as resistance once they get broken through. So that pretty much brings us to this consolidation zone right here where I took trade number two. So let's read the notes right here. It says, I shorted during the downtrend as prices came back to retest a breakout. My break even got hit. Now that's usually the exact way that I want to trade when I'm looking to trade a downtrend. It's pretty much the same thing that I did on trade one also. Waited for a breakout of a major support level. Now that support level should become resistance, and I short as prices come back to retest that level. Only thing was right here was that, you know, when you have a break even, an automatic break even trigger, it protects you a lot of times from taking losses when prices start to move against you and come back to your entry price. But there will be some days like today where that break even entry is not going to protect you from a loss, but instead it's going to make you miss out on the profits. And I think I talked about this before, but I always say that this is one of those things that you just have to accept if you want to trade with an automatic break even stop. Sometimes that break even is going to prevent you from making profits, but a lot of the other times it's going to prevent you from taking losses. So you just got to be willing to accept the fact that sometimes you just won't get that trade and you see it move in your direction and you say, dang, man, I should have been in that. But it's all good because I came back on trade 3. I was patient. I didn't chase the market right here. I didn't chase it down. Instead, I said, well, based on the price action that I'm seeing, if we come back up to these levels again, I'm willing to take the short because it still hasn't been any higher lows that have been formed. So I should be good on the short side. So I'll take that trade again. And that's exactly what I did on trade number 3. But I exited once I saw that higher low form. So I shorted right here, expecting for prices to come back down, either retest these bodies right here or retest this low that the wick made right here. But once I saw this higher low get formed right here, I said, all right, well, I had some profit. Let me lock that in before prices come back to my break even. Because anytime you're short in the market and you see a higher low, it doesn't matter how much you believe in that downtrend at that time. You got to get out of all your short positions while you still can. So that's pretty much the mindset that I had on trade number 3. So after 3, we see another higher low get formed. So if you notice what's going on, we had a swing low right here, followed by higher low number 1, and then higher low number 2. So that's telling us that for whatever reason, the buyers are very strong and there's a lot of demand down here at these levels. So I don't want to look to go short anymore. Instead, I just want to see how the market is going to play out. So we eventually push back up past the support level that this consolidation established a little bit earlier during the downtrend. We created our 3rd higher low, pushed back up, tried to get back up to this level of resistance from earlier in the session, but couldn't quite do it, and then formed a lower high right here. So once we formed this lower high, notice how we broke back down below support, came back down past the support level for the consolidation zone from earlier, and then that's when the downtrend resumed. So we created another lower high right here, came back to retest that lower high, and as soon as we broke back down below that, that's when I said, okay, this is where I want to look for my short trade. So that's typically what I like to look for, and I think I did the same thing yesterday if I'm not mistaken. Well, hold on, let me see. Trade 4, a lower high, got retested, came back and broke down below it. Let me see. Well, one of these trade reviews, but let's stay focused. So I saw that lower high get retested. It got rejected from that lower high, and as soon as it broke down, I'm looking to go short based on what used to be a previous higher low. So anytime a higher low doesn't act as support and that level gets broken down through, I just want to see prices come back, retest that level, and then that's where I'll take the short from. So that's what I did right here on trade number 4. I shorted here as prices came back to retest prior resistance, but my break even got hit, and that's just pretty much the major factor that occurred today. I took a lot of decent trades that aligned with my trading plan, which on most other days they would have been very successful, but on today it was just not the day for, you know, long drawn out continuation trades. It was more of a get in, get out, take what you can get type of day. So, you know, on 4 I had to suffer that break even once again, but I didn't let my confidence get shooken right here because I said on all of these trades that I got stopped out at break even, I made good entries. I traded in line with the trend and I did everything right. So the results are the results, and I'm willing to live with it as long as the process is 100% correct. So I'm okay with trade number 4. That's all right with me. So after trade 4, we see a lot going on. You know, I didn't really see my setup, so I just sat back and I watched. I saw prices come back down, make a new low. As soon as they made a new low, they came back to retest major levels of resistance above on strong momentum. So I was like, wow, it's a lot going on today. I'm glad I'm not really trying to get in and make any trades. Let me just wait for what I know, and if I don't see that, I'm not taking anything at all. So I pretty much just sat through all of this, saw a higher low right here, thought that maybe the uptrend would continue because we had this large move. We pulled back, found support down here, found demand. We pushed up and made a higher low. So I'm like, oh, okay, bet we're about to start moving. No, we continue back down to the downside. This area right here, I really wanted to short it as prices came back to retest this previous level of support, which is now acting as resistance. but I just didn't like the fact that we were coming back down to retest the lowest prices that we had been at for that entire session, and then we bounced back off of it. I was like, that's a decent looking short trade, but I just don't like the market environment surrounding it, so I skipped that one. Came back down, we made a new low for the day, and that led me to trade number 5. So on trade 5, I shorted here as prices came back to retest major resistance during the downtrend. So after we came back to this level where we pretty much saw the downtrend start to resume, I'm like, okay, if we had a move from 940 all the way down to around 870 within the span of 5 minutes, that's a pretty strong move to the downside, about 70 points, pretty decent. So I said, okay, more than likely we should come back up and retest what used to be one of the lowest prices of the entire session, and that's where we should see the next leg of the downtrend resume from. I was right about that idea, but my break even just got me out at the exact wrong time. As soon as my break even got hit, that's when the move continued. Now I can't lie, after that one, that was the 1, 2, 3, the 4th trade that came back to break even today out of the 5 that I had taken up until that point. So I was like, I was kind of frustrated, I'm not gonna lie. And then when I saw prices come back up to retest that level again that I shorted from, I wanted to catch that trade, right? So I put my order right here. I shorted at 73. That's where I have my order resting at. But look at this candle right here. This candle came back to a high of 72, and then it moved back down. You can't really tell, but let's go to the live chart and look at it real quick. Hold on. Where is it? 6. Okay, so look at how the high for this candle was 872. I had my entry at 73. It didn't get filled because it was 1 point away. But notice how we pulled all the way back down, and this candle right here opened at 59. So that would have given me a 13-point profit, which would have triggered my break even if I was in the trade. But that's the thing though, I wasn't in the trade. I missed it, and I missed it by 1 tick. So then I had a decision to make. I'm like, okay, I had my order there, it missed it by 1 tick, and then it moved on without me. It didn't hit my profit target, but it did hit an area where I'm like, if I was scalping, I would take that based on the type of data we're trading today, based on how the market is acting. So I'm like, okay, that was the first time to catch that trade. And then I had to say to myself, Ty, do you want to cancel that order that you still have resting up there because the move that you wanted to see, it already happened? Or do you just want to hold your trade right there and just hope that it works out the next time? I chose the decision where I wanted to sit there and hope that it works the next time. So I kept my order right there. And the thing that went wrong with me having my order here was the fact that it was so much momentum coming up into that level. And that's one of the biggest things that I try and avoid when I'm trading. Yeah, the trend might be down, but if it's a lot of momentum coming back up into that resistance level, I'm not trying to get in the way of that. I'm trying to actually sit back and say, okay, it's a lot of momentum. Let me see if it's going to stall out right here. And then if it stalls out, let me take the short. But that's not what I did today. Instead, I just had my order resting right there. And I said, look, this is my trade and I'm sticking to it. But that's not the mentality you want to have. You want to make sure that even if you do believe in that trade, if you see momentum coming up into that level, man, go ahead and cancel that order and just see how the market is going to react once it gets to the level. Because on a day like today, if I would have canceled this order, I would have never put that order back on the chart, because I would have saw how easily the buyers blew through that level and had so much momentum coming up into that price point. And I would have said, I'm definitely not getting in front of that. So out of all the trades I made today, I would say that this was number 6 was the only one that was just a bad trade, bad decision right here. So I got to work on that. You know, I was able to be very disciplined throughout all of my other 7 trades, but this one is just something that can't happen on a continuous basis, because I just feel like that was an unnecessary loss. I had a choice and I still chose to go down the wrong path. So definitely got to work on that and clean that up. So after trade 6 got stopped out, we see the momentum continue all the way back up to retest this level. And that's another thing. Let's go back to trade 6 one more time. The last note on that is that you can tell when momentum is coming in by looking at the types of wicks that are being made. So if you get a low, especially a low for the day, 832 down here was the lowest price for the entire session today, the lowest price. And then off of that price at 832, we moved all the way back up and closed this candle at 850. So we moved 18 points off of the low. and you can't see it based on how the candle is printed, but all of that movement, that 18 points, pretty much happened within the last like 15 seconds of the candle forming. So that's a very strong surge of momentum. And then we come from 32 all the way back up to 73, where I had my entry at 40 points higher, and we came back to that price level in 4 minutes. So that means that momentum is definitely in the market. And you look at the volume, it's the highest volume candle we've had almost all afternoon. So that's telling you that if you have a long tail wick, high volume, and you see the buy-in starting to roll in, don't try and get in front of that. Either join in with the momentum or just sit out and wait until the momentum goes away and then start looking for your short trades again if the market scenario still makes sense that way. So that was number 6, and I feel like I learned a lot from that trade, and I don't think that's a mistake I want to continue to keep making. So definitely got to work on that. So we continue to push back up. We create another higher low. That higher low holds up. We see prices continue higher, and then that eventually leads me to trade number 7. So at 7, I went long here during an uptrend as prices came back to retest a prior swing high. Now, usually when it comes to the higher low strategy, I like to wait for prices to come back and retest that higher low support level. But in some occasions, when the trend is really strong, you won't see prices come back to retest that higher low. So the alternative method that you can use if you don't get a retest of the higher low is you can wait for prices to break above the swing high that got established before that higher low did. So if this was the higher low from before, the previous swing high would be right here. So this is around 940. But I usually don't like to take that one if it's another arguable swing high very close in a relative area. So for me, I was like, well, we wouldn't more than likely stop just at the tops of these bodies up here. I've seen a lot of scenarios where it comes back and retests that next one that's a little bit lower. So I'm like, okay, let me put my order right there somewhere around 38. So I got in right there as prices came back to retest it. Actually ended up catching pretty much the swing low right there and took prices back up to my scalp target about 21 points higher. And after that, I had to call it a day because the market was going crazy. It was a lot of movement, but not a lot of opportunity for me specifically. So I said, look, I came in, I was up and down. I was in profit for most of the day. I was up to like a profitable, I think a profit high of like 13 points. Gave a lot of that away, came back to like 2 points in profit. And then once I made the profits off of this trade, I believe that I was up by 22 points. So I said, you know what? After all the struggle that I went through today, all the things that could have went wrong, for me to still be able to come out on the right side of this and be profitable, let me not push my luck. I feel like I did everything I possibly could to come out on the winning side. So I'm exhausted. Let me stop right here. And that's when I decided to call it a day. So I would say overall, man, as far as the profit goes, the numbers are not like super large. You know, I made 220 off of 2 contracts. So that's $10 a point. That's 22 points after all of the commissions. That's not the biggest profit target for one specific day, but it's not the money for me. It's about the things that I did, and more specifically, the things that I didn't do that allowed me to be successful today, because I had so many opportunities and chances to take like B+ setups, maybe C+ setups where I'm like, oh, it looks like it's going there. But I held my discipline and I said, look, if it's not the higher low strategy or a break of a major level in a downtrend, I'm not looking to trade it. So I think I did a very good job of being disciplined. And today was one of the best days I ever had because I had complete control of my emotions. I had so many opportunities to go down the wrong path, but I stuck on the right road and I want to stay on that road. So I just want to go back to trade number 6 because that's on my mind very heavily. I just lost discipline right there. And I said, man, look, YOLO, but that's not the attitude to have. So that's what I got to focus on and work on getting better at. Just discipline, not for 99% of the session, not for 95% of the session, but for 100% of the session. I got to be patient and I got to be disciplined. So I think if I can clean that up right there, focus on just being disciplined the whole time, I feel like I can come back tomorrow and finish off the week strong. So that's all I got for you guys today. I hope you learned a lot about just being patient, not letting adversity knock you off your square and get you emotional and make you make emotional decisions. You know, life happens, but you can only control what you can control. So don't get mad at the things that you can't control. Just roll with the punches and figure out a way to bounce back and keep going. So I'll be back tomorrow on October 27th on Friday, ready to finish off the week strong and do it one more time. So until then, you guys, have a good one, study hard, and take it easy.